At 5:23 a.m., Atlas Oil Depot lay silent, its massive fuel tanks and skeletal piers wrapped in a dense Atlantic mist. The calm shattered as radar operators detected swarms of scout UAVs and explosive drones 20 miles out, followed by strike jets streaking in at 600 miles per hour. This was no simple raid, but a calculated strike aimed at the depot, a key supply hub for Russian naval and air forces. Alarms screamed. Anti-air guns roared. The first explosions ripped across the shoreline, setting off secondary blasts and igniting a multi-domain battle that would rage for hours. By 5:47, the night sky had become a stacked three-dimensional fight. Polish recon drones swept low, laser marking fuel silos and radar dishes. Behind them, kamikaze UAVs plunged in, detonating on contact and tearing gaps for heavier munitions. Overhead, F-35 stealth fighters slashed across the cloud deck at near 700 miles per hour, jamming Russian sensors and knocking out air defense radars to secure the skies. On the ground, M1 Abrams tanks thundered forward through pre-mapped corridors while K9 Thunder howitzers established firing boxes 3 miles out, hurling 155mm shells in steady rhythm. Combat engineers deployed sapper robots and nimble robotic scouts the size of dirt bikes to locate mines and cut electrified fences. Russian defenders reacted quickly. T-80 tanks surged from tree-line hides, firing 125mm rounds, while Panzer S-1 launchers filled the air with tracer fire and short-range missiles. The skirmish turned into a rolling duel of artillery, drones, and counterstrikes. Burning fuel lit the horizon like giant torches as machine gun fire and detonations echoed across the bay. By 6:12, the battle had shifted into an electronic war. Russian jammers hidden behind container yards flooded the airwaves with interference. Polish drone feeds dissolved into static. Navigation pings disappeared. Recon UAVs switched to emergency autonomy, circling high above like silent hawks. Polish operators countered within seconds. They rerouted communications through encrypted satellite relays and short-burst radio packets. A mobile cyber team re-established telemetry, regaining control of reconnaissance assets. Small unmanned ground vehicles crawled forward at walking pace, still mapping trenches and detecting tripwires despite the electronic fog. Above the depot, AH-64 Apaches skimmed treetop level, their rotors thundering through the mist as they struck hardened gun nests with precision, bursts and Hellfire missiles. Each strike carved corridors for the armor massing outside. K9 batteries deepened their barrages, disrupting Russian resupply and command shelters. The battle became a chess match of sensors and counter-sensors. Russian jammers tried to blind. Polish crews frequency hopped and pushed back. Silence on the net was followed by sudden, coordinated surges of fire as lost drones rejoined the network and fed, targeting data to orbiting F-35s. By the half-hour mark, Atlas's electronic battlespace resembled a shattered spiderweb, glowing nodes, sudden blackouts, rapid relinks. Whoever controlled those fleeting corridors controlled the fight. Through sheer adaptability, the Polish task force kept pressure on every flank, turning the Russian ambush into a demonstration of modern hybrid war, fought as much with algorithms and bandwidth as with steel. By 6:45, the electronic duel had set the stage for a physical storm. With jamming nodes suppressed, Polish commanders ordered a full-spectrum push. Fresh drone swarms shot ahead, severing tripwires and bypassing electronic fences. Thunder howitzers rumbled, smashing secondary gun pits and pinning Russian gunners. Abrams spearheads surged forward, cannons firing short. Violent bursts that blasted through the depot's side gates. Combat engineers and armored carriers followed close behind while robotic scouts leapt debris piles to mark choke points for precision strikes. Sapper bots crawled through drainage channels to cut hidden wires before the armor rolled through. Russian defenders counterattacked with ferocity. T-80s roared from service alleys, firing point blank. From a ridge 2 miles out, Akatsiya self-propelled guns lofted 152mm shells to trap the spearheads. The marsh erupted in geysers of mud and burning diesel as ruptured storage lines ignited. Yet the Polish assault advanced layer by layer. Apaches banked through smoke curtains, knocking out aggressive tank thrusts, while F-35s fed real-time thermal images to artillery crews. Each breach was exploited by a second and third wave, preventing any single counterstrike from halting momentum. Within 20 minutes, Atlas's outer defenses were in ruins. Command nodes were destroyed or blacked out, Isolated fuel clusters sealed behind barricades of rubble and fire-retardant foam. Sporadic Russian counterattacks flared but were crushed by drone strikes and tank fire before they could build. The battle had escalated from invisible signals to a brutal melee of armor and fire. By 7:20, the fight shifted skyward. MiG-31 interceptors scrambled from a forward strip, roaring in at Mach 2, hoping to reclaim air superiority. Their contrails cut silver arcs across the dawn sky. Waiting for them were F-35s in hunter-killer pairs, baiting the MiGs into missile range before unleashing AIM-120s. Dogfights flashed at supersonic speed. One MiG spiraled out in flames. The rest broke formation to escape radar lock. With each failed interception, Poland kept the aerial corridor open, funneling more drones and resupply flights into the battle space. On the ground, Polish special forces slipped through maintenance tunnels and stairwells, carrying breaching gear and portable jammers. Their target was the depot's communications hub, the nerve, center for Russian artillery, and Panzer crews. After breaching 2 blast doors, they disabled fiber switches, silencing command nodes and blinding gunners who depended on live targeting data. Casualties mounted. Medics evacuated wounded under Apache overwatch, converting garages into field triage points. Civilians were protected, prisoners stabilized. Fires threatening nearby villages were extinguished. By 8:05, Russian communications were in chaos. Artillery fire became sporadic, uncoordinated. The depot's core was more exposed than at any point since the battle began. Under the cover of K-9 howitzer fire and captured, Akatsiya guns turned against their former crews. Sapper teams advanced bomb disposal robots to clear the last charges. Robotic scouts mapped weak points, leading engineers to the primary storage domes. Pumping quarters were shut down. Transfer valves severed. Russian resistance was desperate but scattered. Panzers raked the smoke with tracers, while isolated T-80 crews attempted countercharges, each crushed by layered crossfire or precision drone strikes. Commanders advanced only when openings justified the risk, pulling back when sectors flared with resistance, letting artillery and Apaches clear the way. By mid-hour, the depot's heart was cut off from supply and communications. The battle was nearly won. By 9:10, artillery fire dwindled to isolated echoes. The depot lay shattered, tanks ruptured, loading arms twisted, piers silent except for crackling fires. Field commanders shifted from assault to stabilization. Medics set up triage, offering water and dressings to captured Russian crews. Engineers bulldozed safe lanes, guiding troops and civilians away from hotspots. Acts of humanity emerged amid the wreckage. A medic binding a wounded enemy shoulder, a soldier escorting frightened families to safety. The mission's hard edge remained, but its closing hours carried quiet discipline. By 9:40, Atlas was finished. Its tanks ruined, pumping grids cut, piers disabled. The Black Sea refueling hub was crippled for months. The Polish task force had met its aim, severing Russia's long-range fuel lifeline while protecting civilians. Yet a larger question lingered in the smoky dawn. If Atlas could fall in one night, what site could ever be safe? Hours later, silence blanketed Moscow's southern perimeter. At 2:37 a.m., swarms of Ukrainian loitering drones sliced through the night sky. Infiltration teams advanced under radar coverage, towing robotic breachers and electronic warfare vehicles. This was no mere raid, but a coordinated strike on Russia's most sensitive air command post. At 2:39 a.m., recon drones hovered low, laser designating radar towers, fuel tanks, and buried munitions depots. 2 tracked UGVs crept forward, planting magnetic mines at the base of a 12-foot steel fence. A precision detonation tore a breach wide enough for armored vehicles. Simultaneously, a stealth EW truck fired a directional jamming pulse, blinding Russian radar for 30 seconds, enough for the strike team to slip through. Approaching Gate 3, Ukrainian special forces moved with precision. Mini-drones neutralized guards silently. Within 3 minutes, the outer motor pool was secure without a single shot fired. At 2:42 a.m., the aerial strike began. 6 loitering drones dove onto radar masts and S-400 launchers, destroying them in seconds. MiG-29 sliced overhead, provoking Panzer fire and drawing defenses away as 3 attack drones skimmed treetops, striking fuel tanks and helicopter depots. Secondary explosions lit the sky. From 12 miles away, BM-21 Grad launchers fired a salvo, not to destroy but to raise a smoke screen thick enough to mask the main assault force, closing from the southeast. At 2:50 a.m., 12 decoy UAVs swarmed from 3 directions, saturating radar screens. Panzers fired wildly, wasting missiles on false targets. In the chaos, 4 armed UAVs followed the Mosva River, bypassing active radar, each assigned to a critical target: the fuel dump, the airfield command post, the mobile missile unit, and the comms relay. All struck near simultaneously. At 2:53 a.m., Kubinka Air Base launched 2 Iskander missiles in desperation. A Patriot PAC-3 battery near Chernihiv intercepted both at 35,000 feet, preventing retaliation. By 2:56 a.m., with defenses blinded, 6 Ukrainian armored Kaks rolled through the breach. Lights out, engines muffled, special forces dismounted, clearing the control complex room by room. Within 90 seconds, the building was secure. Elsewhere, a kamikaze FPV drone dove through a shattered window into the radar coordination center, collapsing the ceiling and cutting power to the eastern grid. Snipers climbed atop APCs, providing overwatch, denying Russian reinforcements a chance to regroup. At 3:02 a.m., Russia launched its counterstroke. 2 K-52 attack helicopters roared in from Kubinka, skimming tree lines. Waiting for them were Scythe Hawk rotor-kill drones. Within 90 seconds, both helicopters crashed, one in a tree line, the other into a fuel truck. Inside the command bunker, 12 Russian troops barricaded themselves. Ukraine deployed a tracked-breaching robot carrying a thermal flux grenade. The device detonated with a shockwave that incapacitated the defenders without killing them. Medics treated and evacuated the wounded. By 3:24 a.m., with all objectives complete, Ukrainian forces triggered demolition charges in the ammunition depot. A fireball rose 1,200 feet, lighting southern Moscow. Under smoke cover, units withdrew along the breach corridor. A damaged EW vehicle was destroyed with a timed charge to prevent capture. Back in Kyiv, operators confirmed all mission drones had reached their targets. The 47-minute operation had crippled Moscow's western radar grid for an estimated 72 hours and forced Russia to reassign air defense units, weakening its northern flank. As sunrise touched the Kremlin's skyline, a lone recon drone drifted past the Ostankino Tower, a silent reminder that the war had just shifted, and the world would soon have to face what that meant.